Welcome to Tactical Heritage. 1915 was the year the world stood still. From the Swiss border to the North Sea, millions of men were locked in a subterranean stalemate. Traditional infantry tactics were being slaughtered by the industrial efficiency of the machine gun. But in the shadows of the Vosges Mountains, a man named Captain Willie Rohr was rewriting the rules of war. He didn't want a bigger army, he wanted a faster one. He stripped the soldier of his baggage and turned him into a high-speed projectile. Today, we're going deep into the kit, the conditioning, and the cold-blooded tactics of the German Stoßtruppen. This is how they engineered the breakthrough. At the start of the war, the German soldier was a creature of the 19th century, clad for a war of maneuver and parade ground precision. His uniform, the M1910 Feldrock, featured bright red piping, polished brass buttons, and the iconic leather Pickelhaube helmet. It was a uniform designed to be seen, to inspire awe and fear on a battlefield that no longer existed. The trenches demanded a different kind of soldier, and a different kind of uniform. By 1917, the elite Stoßtruppen, or Stormtroopers, had stripped away the pageantry for pure, brutal utility. The evolution began at the head. The leather Pickelhaube, a symbol of Imperial Germany, offered virtually no protection from the shrapnel that filled the air. It was replaced by the M1916 Stahlhelm, the steel helmet. Its distinctive, deep-skirted shape was scientifically engineered to deflect shell fragments and debris, dramatically increasing a soldier's chance of survival. The camouflage used on German helmets and other equipment, starting in 1918, is known as Mimikry Anstrich, mimicry painting, or more commonly today as Buntfarbenanstrich, colorful paint scheme. It wasn't a factory-applied pattern, it was a standardized field modification ordered by General Erich Ludendorff in July 1918 to help stormtroopers and infantry blend into the churned-up terrain of the Western Front. The tunic followed suit. They moved to the M1915 blues, a simplified tunic dyed in a muted feldgrau, or field gray. The exposed, polished buttons of the old uniform were replaced with a concealed fly front to prevent snagging on barbed wire. But the real innovation was often born of necessity in the field. These men spent hours on their bellies in shell craters and mud. To combat the constant grinding wear, they sewed thick leather patches onto their elbows and knees. This wasn't a standard issue feature. It was a soldier-led modification to survive the flint and debris of no man's land. Then came the puttee revolution. The traditional knee-high leather Marschstiefel, or jackboots, were heavy, expensive, and became waterlogged coffins for the feet in the perpetual mud of the trenches. The solution was to ditch them for shorter, lace-up ankle boots combined with wool puttees. A puttee is a long strip of cloth, wrapped tightly from the ankle to just below the knee. This system was a revelation. It didn't just provide crucial ankle support for sprinting across broken ground, it created a remarkably effective seal. This barrier kept mud, water, and even the heavy particles of poison gas from getting inside the boot, preventing trench foot and chemical burns. They were lighter, faster, and turned the infantryman into a high-speed athlete, ready for the violent, close-quarters assaults to come. Finally, their load-bearing equipment was reconfigured for the assault. The standard leather gear was often supplemented with cloth bandoliers and sandbags, allowing a single soldier to carry a dozen grenades. The gas mask canister, once an afterthought, was now worn in the alert position on the chest, ready for deployment in seconds. Every strap, every pouch, every piece of fabric was optimized for a single purpose: to carry the tools of the storm and to move fast. This was no longer a soldier of the line. This was a human weapon system, engineered by the very war it was designed to win. When a stormtrooper jumped into an enemy trench, a 4-foot-long bolt-action rifle was a liability. The confined, muddy corridors of trench warfare demanded a new kind of weapon, one that prioritized volume of fire over long-range precision. The standard-issue Gewehr 98, while an excellent rifle, was simply too cumbersome for the brutal, close-quarters reality of a trench raid. The German High Command, observing the effectiveness of automatic weapons on the battlefield, issued a directive for a compact handheld machine pistol. The answer arrived in 1918, a weapon that would define a new category of firearm. The world's first practical submachine gun, the MP-18 Bonai. Designed by the legendary Hugo Schmeisser at the Bergmann Waffenfabrik, the MP-18 was a masterclass in wartime pragmatism. It fired 9mm parabellum rounds, the same ammunition used by the Luger Piezo 8 pistol, a brilliant logistical decision that simplified supply chains on the front lines. Its rate of fire was a deliberately controlled 400 rounds per minute. This relatively slow cycle made the weapon remarkably stable and easy to handle, even for soldiers accustomed to single-shot rifles, preventing wasteful ammunition expenditure while still delivering overwhelming firepower. The MP-18's most distinctive technical edge was its magazine, the iconic 32-round Snail drum, or Trommel magazine TM08, originally designed for the artillery model of the Luger pistol. While the side-mounted drum was offset and undeniably awkward, its capacity gave a single stormtrooper the suppression power of an entire infantry squad. Loading it was a chore, requiring a special tool to wind the internal spring, and its complex mechanism was susceptible to dirt and mud. But in the dark, claustrophobic tunnels of a French fort, these drawbacks faded. The MP-18 enabled the devastating tactic of walking fire, spraying lead while advancing to clear the next corner before an enemy could even cycle their rifle's bolt. Its operation was based on a simple, robust, open-bolt blowback system. When the trigger was pulled, the bolt slammed forward, stripping a round from the magazine, chambering it, and firing it all in one motion. The gas pressure from the fired cartridge then pushed the bolt back against a return spring, ejecting the spent casing and preparing the cycle to repeat. This simplicity made it reliable and easy to manufacture. While Italy's Beretta M1918 technically preceded it, the MP-18's superior ergonomics and purpose-built design made it far more effective and influential. Its legacy was immediate. After the war, Schmeisser refined the design into the MP-28, which adopted a more practical stick magazine and was sold and copied across the globe, setting the template for nearly all submachine guns that would follow. In an age defined by the machine gun and long-range artillery, it seems counterintuitive to name a simple hand tool as a soldier's most feared weapon. But for those who faced German stormtroopers in the claustrophobic confines of the trenches, the most terrifying weapon in their arsenal wasn't a gun at all. It was the Feldspaten, the short-handled trench spade. This humble entrenching tool, a standard piece of infantry equipment, was systematically transformed from an instrument of defense into a brutally efficient weapon of attack. To understand why, we must first appreciate the failure of conventional arms in this new environment. In the elbow-to-elbow chaos of a trench raid, a long infantry rifle like the Gewehr 98 was a severe liability. Its length made it clumsy to maneuver around the sharp, 90-degree turns of a trench system. A fixed bayonet only made it more unwieldy. Worse, bayonets were prone to getting stuck in an opponent's ribs, clothing, or web gear, a fatal delay in a fight where seconds meant the difference between life and death. The brutal practical logic of the stormtroopers demanded a better solution. They found it by reimagining the spade. Using files and grinding stones, they sharpened the edges of their spades until they were as sharp as an axe. This wasn't a crude, improvised weapon. It was a deliberate modification. Often, 3 sides of the spade's head were honed to a razor edge, creating a weapon that could cut and slash from multiple angles. The spade's inherent design was perfectly suited for this role. Its short wooden handle, originally intended for digging while crouched, provided superb leverage and control in tight spaces. The weight of the steel head delivered devastating momentum, making it a formidable bludgeon, even without a sharpened edge. The combat logic. The spade became a modular tool of death. It functioned as an axe for hacking through wooden trench supports or a sentry's neck, a mace for delivering blunt force trauma with its flat, and a makeshift shield for parrying a clumsy bayonet thrust. Period training manuals and soldiers' memoirs confirm this doctrine. They detail specific strikes. A horizontal swing to the neck or collarbone was far more decisive and psychologically easier to deliver than a bayonet thrust. A downward chop could disable a limb or smash through a helmet. This wasn't just theory, it was a practiced, lethal art form. The spade's influence extended beyond the war, with many armies adopting similar short-handled tools and close-quarters combat techniques. When you see a period photograph of a stormtrooper with a spade tucked into his belt, you aren't looking at a digger. You're looking at a specialist in the most intimate and terrifying form of industrial-age warfare. Every piece of gear had a ready state. Notice the stacking hook on their Kar 98 AZ carbines. This allowed the squad to tripod their rifles together in the mud, keeping the actions clear of the slurry that jammed standard infantry weapons. Their training was the ancestor of modern CQB, close quarters battle. They practiced the trench flow, a synchronized dance of grenades and blades. They would flick their steel hand granaten, stick grenades, with a snap of the wrist to clear the next traverse, then move in instantly with the spade and MP-18. They were conditioned to operate for 48 hours without relief. No backpacks, no heavy coats, just 3 canteens of water, bags of grenades, and the high-proof schnapps in their bread bags to keep the edge off the exhaustion. The stormtroopers didn't win the war, but they invented modern tactical movement. From the reinforced knees of modern combat pants to the short carbine doctrine, their DNA is everywhere. They were the first to realize that in the industrial age, the most effective weapon isn't a massive army, it's a small group of specialists who are wire-thin and hard as nails. I'm Josh. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the stormtrooper gear. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tactical history. See you in the trenches.